Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Week 13 of the high school football season. It is regional final week. We are here in Pickerington on the central side of town to preview the Division I Region 3 final between the Tigers and the Pickerington North Panthers coming up tomorrow night up at DeSales. I'm Dave Purpura along with Jarrod, Ulrey, and our guest to start the show, 14th and the 15th season as head coach of the Tigers, Jay Sharrett. Good to have you with us, Coach.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, good to have you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Seventh time in the regional finals, I believe, or sixth time in the regional finals, I believe, in your tenure. What's the thing that makes this team stand out, that's made you guys special and able to put together another run here?
Well, I think it's just what you brought up. It's a building block thing. It's an install. So, we've made some good playoff runs in the past. Some of these guys have been on those teams. They know what to expect. They know the longevity of the season, and it is a long season. Mm-hmm. And you build on that experience, and once again, like I said before, here we are in a regional championship, and we made it this far last year, and we got fortunate enough to win one, and we'll give it a shot tomorrow.
Anything, obviously you have to go through a lot to get these teams to get this far, and you've done it. You've been in several state semifinals, like we've said. What's kind of helped set your program apart from the rest of Central Ohio? I mean, obviously this is pretty much one of the best programs right now.
Well, to get here, you have to be willing to schedule tough teams. And you can't just have that one tough game be the second round of the playoffs or the third round of the playoffs. You've got to be in some situations where you're in desperate games right down to the end. And, I knew we had a good team coming in. Tough non-league schedule the first three games with some out-of-state opponents. And those two opponents are in the state semis now, Michigan and Indiana. And, we had a tough one against a quality team from Trotwood. And putting your team to that test, then when you get in a tough pinch here, week 12, week 13, week 14, your guys don't panic that last 6 minutes of the game. They find a way to win, block a punt, pick up a fumble, and hopefully we can have that fortunate events tomorrow and something good goes our way.
One of the many good teams you faced is the one you're going to see again tomorrow. It's a fun rivalry anyway. For those of us who spend a lot of time out here and we see this in every sport, how much better is it when both you guys are at the level you're at right now?
Well, I think they're going along the same lines as us. We're playing for a regional championship, playing for a chance to state semifinal berth. And now we just happen to be playing each other. That's going to get the crowd bigger, more coverage, that type of thing. But when it comes down to it, you're looking to win that regional championship. You're looking to advance. And, you let the community have fun with it and that type of thing. But right now I know they're probably saying the same thing. We want our kids' feet on the ground. We want them to know we're playing for a regional championship. We did this a year ago against a real tough Wayne team, and it's not going to be any different. I wouldn't be surprised if this game's not decided in the final minute of the game, just like the first one was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Pickerington Central's 11-1, Pickerington North's 10-2. Help us break down this matchup. What's going to be some of the big keys into this thing?
I think what's neat is, we played each other about a month ago, and each team has modified, changed things, personnel, maybe doing something a little bit different. But you still got your base offense, base defense, and that's what we have to prepare for. And going into week 13, as crazy as it sounds, it might be a well-placed punt, it might be a timely field goal, it might be something along that lines. And to get this far in the playoffs, and they're playing great football, so you better be able to do special teams, play good defense, and hold on to the ball offensively. And that's kind of our mantra of what we've done. And it hurt us a little bit last week against Bradley because we put the ball on the ground. They made us pay both times. So we got to make certain that we have ball security. And I don't know if we stop Pickerington North's offense, but we contain it. And then if we do get a break, a tip pass or something, we got to make sure we make that play.
Well, Coach, we'll let you get back to work preparing for them, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thanks
a lot.
Okay. Take care.
Jay Sharrett, the head coach of the Pickerington High School Central Tigers, Division I Region 3 final tomorrow night up at DeSales. You saw the first time these two teams played. What stood out to you? What was it? October 13th, I think it was, so a month and 3 days ago. What stands out to you, and what are your opinions on what you just asked Jay about some of the keys to tomorrow night?
Well, as far as the first matchup was concerned, Central, at the very end of the game, they made just enough big plays to hold North from getting that final game-winning touchdown. It was 24-21. North had the ball. They had some chances. They really didn't have a lot of great chances on the last drive, but they did have a couple of shots in the end zone. And I kind of expect this game to be very similar in terms of, like he was saying, it's going to come down to a couple of plays here at the end. Both teams have a lot of things that kind of make them uniquely strong. North's got this They've got this great passing game with Jimmy Wyrick and Ty Wiley and Jalen Baylor and some other guys like that. And Central, of course, has the physicalness. They've got the great running game with Jameer Jackson, and they've got a athletic quarterback in Jameer Crenshaw, and they've also got the great defense. One thing that could make a big difference here is how does North handle this pressure? They have, yes, they've been in some big games over the years, but Central has been in more big games than them over the years. Yeah. Is that going to be a big impact in this thing? I mean, Central, we know, is not going to have problems where they're kind of choking under the pressure. We know that's not going to happen for them. So how does North handle the pressure this week?
When that feeds into something I was going to ask you as well, Central has won 3 in a row against North, in the last 13 months, I think it is. Does that mean anything? I mean, you and I grew up in a time where Michigan beat Ohio State pretty much every year, it seemed like. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Does it really mean anything when it comes to this kind of a situation?
I wouldn't necessarily think that does. I mean, yes, maybe it gets into North's heads a little bit, hey, can we really beat this team? But they're a team that is playing North is playing extremely well right now. They've got to be feeling a lot of confidence after the way they beat Centerville this last week. I mean, wow! I don't think anybody would have pictured them winning 42-12 or whatever the score of that game was. I mean, that was a 1-point game the first time. Yeah. I think it's very reasonable to think they've gotten a lot better in the last 2 months, and they've probably gotten a lot better just since they played Pickerington Central. So there's no reason to think that it couldn't go the other way.
All right, and we will see. Jarrod Ulrey will be at that game tomorrow night. Our Frank Rena is making the drive up to Findlay as the second-seeded Olentangy Liberty Patriots take on the top-seeded Toledo Whitmer Panthers. That's the Division I Region 2 final, and again, that is at Findlay. I saw Whitmer beat Olentangy, in fact, have to come back to do so. 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes last week. Olentangy made them look fairly average at times because they were playing really good defense. Is that going to be the key tomorrow night for Olentangy Liberty to win a regional championship?
Well, you would think. Liberty's defense has been the biggest reason that the kind of combination of their defense and becoming more efficient on offense. Those have been the 2 biggest keys for Olentangy Liberty to go on this run that they've been on the last several weeks. And one thing that does hurt them a little bit is it doesn't look like they're going to have Johnny Wiseman, and he's probably their best player. So that does hurt them. He got called for this targeting call in the fourth quarter. It's not
against Gahanna.
Yeah, I mean, the call was made. Whether you can look back at the film. Did he hit him helmet to helmet? I mean, I don't have the film, but the call was made, so they've got to deal with it the way it is. And the good thing about Liberty is they've got lots and lots of guys that could fill that role on defense. And I mean, is it going to hurt them more on offense or more on defense not having Wiseman? I don't know. But one thing that Liberty did really well last week was they decided we're going to go out, we're going to pound the ball. They controlled the clock with a lot. They ran the ball with Matthew Webb a lot and made it so that Mitchell Oakley didn't have a lot of pressure on him, and he was very efficient. I think he was like maybe 10 for 15 in the air or something like that. So that's going to be key for them this week.
Whitmer tried to do that at times. They have a junior running back, Kobe Myers, sophomore quarterback,
Tell us about
Riley
Keller. He must be really good.
He has a real good arm, especially on the final 2 drives for Whitmer. Not only did he make big throws, he made pinpoint big throws. I'm thinking of one that was about 40 yards down the Olentangy sideline to a kid named Patrick Mack, number 13 for those of you who are going to be at the game tomorrow night. And then Jay Sharrett, who I believe was number 6, is the one who caught the 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes and 2 seconds. One of them gave Whitmer the lead the first time. Olentangy went back to take the lead on a heck of a play, a little dump over the middle to Ian Drummond, the tight end, takes it 47 yards for a touchdown. And then a great throw to Rader with 10 seconds left, and Whitmer able to hold off Olentangy. So yeah, those of you heading up there, those are some good athletes to look for there.
Keller, from everything I've been reading, could be somebody that we're going to be hearing a lot about in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have like Ohio State offering him, schools like that. I mean, there's some big ones that are already starting to look at him. So,
well, that seemed to be. I was talking to some of the Toledo people in the press box last week, and that seemed to be their thought as well, and that Whitmer is going to remain strong with some of these weapons coming back the next couple of years.
This next game we're going to talk about is your territory here, New Albany.
Heading up I-71 to Ireland Field in Mansfield tomorrow night. It is 5th-seeded New Albany against top-seeded Massillon, Washington, who we will henceforth refer to as Massillon, just to be sure. The Tigers, that program, Paul Brown's program that he helped build many years ago, and they're back. They come in, coming off a win over Ashland, New Albany. What a run they're continuing, beating Walnut Ridge last week.
Boy, is it, I'm sorry, is it Micah Burton? I don't know.
Micaiah
Burton. What an impressive young running back he's turning into.
He's really had some huge performances, like a couple of at or near 200-yard performances. Against Whitehall, it was 200 yards on 20 carries.
I think he had about 198 or 189 against Walnut Ridge, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, right there, you're 389 yards, and we'll see if Massillon is keyed in to stop. I mean, obviously they're going to be keyed in to stop him. How much success they have,
right? And
they're a team that's going to pound it at you. That's the thing. Pat Salmonage mentioned that kind of this. You get an idea of gritty Northeast Ohio football. That's what they're going to throw at you. They like to run the ball as well. Jameer Thomas is their big running back. He's getting a lot of big looks already. Michigan State, Kentucky, UC, Michigan are some of the schools that are interested in him. He's rushed for 1,283 yards and 20 touchdowns. They, like Whitmer, have a sophomore quarterback.
And he's very efficient too, right? Didn't he thrown for 19 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this year?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they don't make a lot of mistakes.
And he happens to be committed to play baseball at Kent State.
Okay.
Kind of a reminiscent of a kid who used to play quarterback here. What was it, Nick Jensen-Clagg, I believe.
That's right.
And I think he went on to Kent State.
Yeah.
And I think he was mainly a baseball player, just kind of an odd parallel. As that's concerned, New Albany is in its 4th title game for the region in the last 6 years. Massillon is coached by Nate Moore. Some of you may remember he led Cincinnati LaSalle to the 2014 state championship with Jeremy Larkin as their big running back. They beat Olentangy in the state semifinal that year.
And you'll be going out there, right?
I will be up there tomorrow night, 7:30 kickoff at chilly Arlen Field. It always is this time of year, but it's just fun to be covering, I guess.
They got good pizza in that press box.
Oh, they do. Absolutely. I'm glad I'm in the home press box. Disaster notwithstanding. I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully nothing happens between now and tomorrow. But Division III, Region 11, at another storied field. This one being Whitefield in Newark. Number 3 Hartley and number 5 Dresden TriValley in the Region 11 final. They are both 11-1. Neither one of them has lost since opening week, and those were the 2 pretty good teams. Hartley lost to Toledo Central Catholic, and TriValley lost to St. Vincent St. Mary.
Well, one thing about TriValley is you might be thinking, that's pretty far out there. Are they going to have enough athletes to hang with Hartley? I mean, that is a big question in this matchup. Are they going to have the coaching? I think there's no question that they've got a very excellent coach in Justin Buttermore. He's gotten TriValley to several playoffs. I believe they made it maybe like 7 out of 9 years or something like that.
They were a nemesis for New Albany a lot of times,
right?
A few years ago.
And they played Marion Franklin in some big playoff games. So they're not. You got to think they're going to come in here. They're not going to be intimidated by it. We could say that. I think that's pretty fair.
One thing that stood out, I think it was at the beginning of your preview. You talked. Brad Birchfield noted there are a lot of similarities between the 2 teams, or at least he mentioned some.
Yeah. And I think he's talking more from a program perspective.
Oh, okay.
The fact that they're both perennial playoff type of teams. And yes, Hartley does have they do have a lot of guys in new roles this year, but these guys have all been a part of this. I mean, the Alexander Blackmans and the Elijah Carters and guys like that, Maximus Steineckers. These guys they were all a big part of this last year, and so this is the time of year when Hartley is a team that's very scary for a lot of teams.
Oh, absolutely. Now, they one kid whose numbers look scary from the Scotty side of things, quarterback Austin Newsom. How about these all-purpose numbers? 2,792 yards, 46 touchdowns. He's the quarterback. Mind you, he's passed for 1,832, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the year, and he's run for another 960 yards and 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be hard. I mean, yes, they're not playing some of the teams that like a Jimmy Wyrick was playing, but I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to find numbers that are that good from any quarterback, maybe in the whole state. Absolutely.
And they're getting down to the best ones here. A couple more games we want to mention before we get out of here. A few teams that are just beyond our coverage area from Central Ohio that are still playing. In Division 5, Region 19, Johnstown taking on an undefeated Wheelersburg team down at Chillicothe.
Yeah. One thing about that I wanted to mention is that Wheelersburg is obviously they've been crushing teams. Columbus Academy did hang with them for a long time in that game last Friday. So maybe that is a measure of hope that Johnstown can take into this matchup, and also the fact that Johnstown they blew away Portsmouth West. Portsmouth West is a team that plays Wheelersburg and plays that type of style. So maybe that'll help them.
couple other Central Ohio teams are still alive in Region 5 as well, in Division 5, excuse me, in Region 20. West Jefferson is going to head to Beaver Creek to take on Middletown Madison. Division 5, Region 18 is Marion Pleasant against Pemberville Eastwood. That game is at Lima Senior. And then down in Region 27, Hannibal River, who folks around here might remember, eliminated Harvest Prep. The reason we're mentioning them is that they're playing Danville, and that game will be out at Maysville tomorrow night. Any final thoughts on what we may see tomorrow? Because next time we talk, we're going to be talking about state semifinals.
Well, I mean, I think we're obviously going to have at least one team in the state semifinal because one of the Pickerington teams is going to make it. And, I mean, there's no reason to think the other three are going to get shut out. So I think we'll have a couple of teams to talk about next week at least.
Well, that's true, and that's the only guarantee, I guess, we have at this point, because all the area teams we have are playing somebody from beyond our area. So we will let you know over the weekend where we will be, when we will be, because right now most of us a week from now are going to be stuffing our faces for Thanksgiving. So we won't be talking to you on Thursday, but we will let you know when we're coming at you next week. For Jarrod, Ulrey, and for Central Coach Jay Sharrett, I'm Dave Purpura. So long, everybody.